Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Let's Debrief podcast.
Happy Wednesday. Welcome back. And if it's your first time, welcome. We're happy you're here.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Ashley.
And we are your hosts.
We are your Let's Debrief girlies. Yeah, and we're here every Wednesday.
I feel like we have finally, we have a name for our listeners. Debriefers,
yeah.
Because I feel like this weekend specifically, a lot of people said to me, I'm a debriefer.
And you're like, oh.
And I was like, oh, okay. The listeners have a name.
They've named themselves. And I feel like we kind of maybe said something a while ago and we're like, I don't know if it'll stick, but now they're like, I'm a proud debriefer. And I'm like, yes, you are.
Yes, you are. We had such a crazy response to our last episode.
Okay, I have to share the stats for you guys because I just thought this was absolutely crazy. So average episode for us, playtime for 7 days, will average in the 250 to 75 range. So 275 listens. So in my mind, 275 of you are out there listening to us every week. Amazing. In 2 days, we had 375 people watch or listen to our last episode.
That's just listening. We didn't even look
true.
at
It's
the
not
YouTube.
even on YouTube.
Let me look at the YouTube right now.
I think it was at 30 last time I saw, so I'm not sure now. But oh my gosh, the response was insane. People were texting us, also DMing us, but then
105 views on
you kidding me?
YouTube. That's crazy.
I need to get back into my making shorts for our YouTube as well. That used to drive a lot of traction, but I feel like our YouTube is starting to pop off. I mean, for a podcast that doesn't have a ton of followers, I'm that's a lot of views.
Absolutely. But I was just thinking, it's so funny because I texted you something about so many people have watched this already or something, and you were the clickbait worked.
It 1,000% worked. And it proved itself because we were at an event yesterday and had multiple people come up to us and they were like, I've never really listened before, but this week's episode looked so good, so I had to listen.
They were like, I saw the graphic, which then I was, if you didn't see it and you just don't follow us or something and you just listened to it on Apple or whatever, I made a graphic that had little pieces of what people. Sorry, we didn't even say that the episode that we're talking about is people sent in assumptions about us.
Which also, did you see our friend Joey posted on her Instagram story and she she said inspired by the Let's Debrief girlies, send us your anonymous assumptions about her and her husband. And I had multiple people say wait, I want to know what people think about me. And I'm yeah, it's fun, but also it opens up a door.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I feel maybe a few years ago, I would have been really hurt by some of the stuff, but I feel I'm in a very good place. I feel very secure and confident in who I am and stuff, that it didn't hurt my feelings at all. It was just more interesting and fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I made the graphic that had little blurbs of what people sent in. Mm-hmm. And so many people were I saw that and it enticed me.
Yeah, so they're did Ashley get around in high school?
I have to know. So then I was telling Ashley, I was I wonder if there's a way that we could put more submissions into the graphic, because a lot of times the graphics that we'll post for every episode, say we do your most embarrassing moments, is usually just a graphic that says your most embarrassing moments.
Yeah. It's usually an old aesthetic film photo.
Yes.
In yellow text.
It's always yellow. We really got away from the green.
We did, but all of our merch was green based too.
We'll get back to it.
We'll get back to it. Maybe in...
who knows? But yeah, anyways, the response was crazy. Just not response, but so many people listened. And a lot of people said, you guys did a really good job, which I was nervous that people would be yeah, you guys sounded
You sounded like you were defensive.
Yeah.
I know, and I listened. Did you listen back to the full thing?
Of course, I listened to it twice.
Oh my gosh. I know, I listened. It was so funny. We me, Peter, and Cole, and I'll talk about this later, went to New York this week, and on the way back, I was listening to it just in my AirPods, and Peter was like about to change like what we were listening to, and he like asked me for my opinion. I was like, oh, sorry, I have like 5 minutes left in the podcast, and then like we can listen to that or whatever. And he was like, wait, well, like let's just listen to the podcast. And so I had to start back all the beginning.
It's so weird, like
oh, okay.
It's so weird, like I said, I listened to it twice, mostly just because like I wanted to get to like the parts when I said something, just because I was like, I want to like know, like I want to just like hear how I said it and make sure like I felt good about like the way it was portrayed. But like it's so funny, like when you listen the second time, you're like, Ashley's gonna say this next, and then I'm gonna say this.
Okay, when you listen back sometimes, this is just so funny. Like, I don't know if it's my memory remembering that I did it or just I'm that predictable in jokes or something, but I will like listen and like you'll say something, and in my mind as I'm listening to it, I'm like, I should say this. That would be a funny joke. And then I say it and I'm like, dang.
You're like,
I'm
how
hilarious.
did she know how to say that? How did she know?
Thank you, Ashley,
Wait,
a week ago.
Me.
Yeah.
That's actually so funny.
This is a really, like, and we, on this episode too, we both were like, we recorded it like 5 or 7 days maybe before it went out, and I said to Jenna, we should definitely listen to this one before it goes out, and she was like, yeah, 100%. Well, Cole and I went to New York and we left the SD card with the audio file in it, and so literally last week's episode barely even made it up, and so Jenna and I didn't have time to listen to it, so it was very much like a
hope it
was good, hope we didn't say anything offensive, hope we weren't rude. Like,
yeah, and I mean, anything that anyone has said has been great. But yeah. Why don't you tell us about your trip?
Honestly, like, I feel like we did so much, but then not a ton at the same time, just because we kind of did a lot of like the same things, because it was just like, wait, we found this one thing that we like wanted to keep doing. So
we just went to Read This Away back and forth,
and I went to Olive Garden every day.
Olive Garden. Wait, okay, sorry if this is like a millennial thing to say. I actually am like
I was gonna say, are you a millennial?
So some like say that millennial goes like to 1998, and some say it's 96, and I'm 96. But I 100% like would identify with Gen Z just in terms of like cultural things. But I don't know how, I mean, I guess I know how, but like The Office has become like millennial thing. But there's this episode when Michael Scott goes to New York, and like, of course he always like tries to act like he knows everything about everything. He's like walking the streets of New York, and they're like interviewing him. He's like, every time I come to New York, you know, I gotta have New York pizza. They got the best pizza here. And he like, then he like looks at the camera. He's like, time to get me a New York slice. And then he walks into Sbarro.
Oh,
and he like thinks that like that's like
he's
the
like,
authentic,
this is local,
authentic New York
pizza. They've been
pizza.
here for 50 years.
Yes, and there is a Sbarro. Is that how you say it, Sbarro?
Yeah, I think so.
There's one of those in like our local mall that Tanner and I go to, which I always just go there to go to Old Navy because I love their kids' clothes.
Yeah, and aren't they cheap too?
Oh my God, they're so cheap. Old Navy in general is great. Like even for adults.
They've really had a comeback in the last 2 years alone.
Mm-hmm. They really have. But every time we go there, we see the Sbarro that's in the food court, and I'm like, time to get me a New York slice.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead.
So we were actually supposed to take this trip in June, and it was after end of June. It was when we got back from Cape Cod. It was literally supposed to be like a 7-day turnaround. And on the way back from Cape Cod.
And you also like basically passed it on the way back. So you're like, am I going to take the same exact route?
Sorry. I was like, I'll just turn off the TV. Yeah, exactly. On the way back from Cape Cod, which it was like a 15-hour drive, we all like, Peter is like New York obsessed, and he really wanted to go, and we're like, yeah, of course we'll go with you. And he brought it up. He was like, so the idea of getting in a car in 7 days and driving back to New York sounds awful. Like, do you guys want to go in August instead? And I was like, yes.
Yes, please. Yes.
And so...
Oh, you guys didn't have anything booked at that time, right?
No. Yeah, that's what was stressing him out too, is he was just like, we haven't booked anything. And honestly, my family's gone to New York before and like booked something night of and like just found something super last minute. So I was like, we'll be fine and like we'll figure it out. And like, But yeah, so then it made it easier to be like, we don't have to go.
It's so hard to know always, like, if something's going to be super cheap, like, really last minute, or if it's going to be super expensive. Like, there's been times when we've, like, booked a hotel the night of or, like, the night before, and it's literally, like, $100, like, an actually nice hotel. And then there's times whenever it's, like, the night before and it's $500. But it's,
they're like, I'm not budging.
a stupid hotel. And it's just, like, how do you know which one it's going to be?
Yeah. In my experience, the one thing that will always be more expensive and not fluctuate the day before is flights. Any last minute flights will always be like very expensive.
Really
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Spirit will be like $600 and you're just like, why?
I know. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast that Tanner has a degree in travel and hospitality management, but they like taught him like all of the stuff about like when to book stuff for it to be cheapest and everything. And I don't know if this is like still rings true, but they always said that if to get the cheapest flight, you should book 50 days beforehand.
All right.
So like a month and a half-ish, a little more than a month
and that would
half.
stress a lot of people out. But
I feel like that's the perfect time.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of tracks for like how we've booked our vacations, like our group trips.
Yeah. Well, do you know about, sorry, we're literally just talking all over the place. You're supposed to be telling about your trip, but you know about the Hopper app? We use that all the time. It's like kind of sucks because as you guys know, we love Southwest.
Yeah.
But like,
why is Southwest excluded from that stuff? Like they're not on Google Flights either.
I know.
I don't
it's
understand.
So annoying. But Southwest is, I don't know if it's never on Hopper, but like it's just like it gives you the cheapest flights and everything, but like it'll tell you like buy it now, it's gonna rise after today, or like it's gonna go down by $70 until June 3rd and then it'll go up again. Like
it's like, how
just
do you
like
know
nice.
that? Is it just like it knows it from like the history like of that? I'm like,
I don't know, maybe they like have like a buy-in with the airlines or something.
oh, that'd be nice. But,
yeah, but that's a little travel tip. The Hopper app is great.
And
anyways,
yeah, that's fine. I'm ready.
So you went to New York.
We went to New York. We drove out on Monday, and okay. Also, this is a travel tip because like if you live in Pittsburgh or in the surrounding areas, to get to New York is only like a 6-hour drive, like max. I feel like from your house it's 5, and if you live anywhere more in the middle, it's less. And Peter booked our parking in advance. Guess how much it was?
He already told me, so
oh, dang.
I know.
Okay, but it was $70 for the entire week.
Which, let me just say,
I like how we're both going like this.
in times past that we have driven to New York and put our car in a parking garage, and I feel very cautious about saying prices now that like so many people
that they think that you come from money.
Well, since so many people said things about like I don't understand how you travel all the time and stuff like that. When we have put our car in a garage in New York before, it's been $50 a night.
Yeah.
And like I remember the time when me, Tanner, and Peter drove together, and then you, Cole, and your sister drove together, and we stayed for 3 nights.
Was it really
so
that
it was
long?
$150, but like we like each paid $50.
Yeah.
So it like for Tanner and I was only like $100, which is still a lot for parking, of course.
And to just know that $100 is gone for your car to sit somewhere, it eats away at my soul.
Yes,
like,
but then thinking about staying any longer than that, it's like, oh,
well,
wow,
that's what like I like looked last minute, not like a month out, and Spirit had flights round trip for $100 out of
New York.
Yeah, out of Pittsburgh. And so I was like, we could just fly for $100, and obviously we'd have, but like you could take the subway all the way to Times Square from like JFK. And so I was like, this could also be an option if we're going to be paying $100 for driving anyways. And then like, so there's so many factors of like road tripping or flying and stuff, especially if you're going to park. But yeah, he looked it up in advance. He did it all himself, and he just like texted us one day and was like, hey, so I found this thing that's going to be like $70. Review seemed good. Like, what do you think? And I was like, for $70 for the entire stay? Yeah, like that's completely fine. And so like when we put like, I was like slightly nervous when we would go pick it up, like if anything would be damaged or, but like I wasn't there with the boys when they dropped the car off. I was staying with the luggage at the hotel, and watching it from our room. And they were like, when I got there, when we picked it up, I was like, oh, this literally looks like a normal garage. Like, I don't know how it was
Peter
so
said
cheap.
it was like just a little far from where you were staying, but
It was like, I think it took us 10 minutes to get back to the hotel to get our stuff. Like, it was only a few blocks.
that's amazing.
It was
like
incredible.
Literally so cheap.
Yeah. But anyways, New York was great. We did a lot of shopping, but not a lot of buying.
Which is a great vibe.
A
like
great
we love just to
vibe.
walk around Soho.
Yeah, we honestly, for what we didn't spend on clothes and shopping, we did in food. Like, New York food is just so expensive, and especially when your bank account supports 2 people. It's like, okay.
But you said you had really good food.
Yes, really good food. I don't know, because Peter shot a wedding with Jen and Tan Saturday. Like, so we got back on Friday, and so I don't know how much he caught you up on. But literally, Cole and I did not have one good cup of coffee.
He did tell me that because I was just asking him, like, what was your favorite, food you had? And I was like, did you get good coffee? He's like, I got good coffee. But if you ask Ashley and Cole, they had a horrible coffee experience.
It was just, and he agreed with it. He wasn't wasn't like thinking we were pretentious at all. He was like, would try our lattes and would be like, yeah, that sucks. Like, we never all got like 3 lattes, and so we could be like, oh yeah, this sucks. He would get like an Americano and we'd get a latte, and ours were like, so every single time the issue was always they were so milky and the espresso was just non-existent. And I was like, what is happening?
That is, I feel like, the most common like issue with coffee when you go out, or the espresso is burnt. That's like the 2 that I'm just like, why?
Yeah, and you just think you're in New York, you're gonna get the best coffee in the world, and so many people like would send Peter recommendations, and so he would take us there, and like we're like, all right, like in the beginning we were like, oh, like that kind of sucked, but like it was fine, like whatever, but then it became like a bit like towards the end of it because we were like, literally, so in my mind, I really like Blue Bottle. I've never had like a bad experience, and I just get an iced sweet latte. Cole and I got the same thing. And when they passed them along, and I was like, I guarantee you this is going to be milky. And took one sip, and I was like, actually iced milk. Like, that's all that this is.
It's so
disappointing.
Sad.
I honestly think that Breville has messed me up.
I completely agree. Like, I don't know like what it is, but I think it's almost being able to control it yourself and just knowing like, this is how much sweetness I like, this is how much milk I like, this is how much like espresso I like, and these are the beans I like, and I'm so used to having it every single day that whenever I taste another one, I'm like, doesn't taste like mine.
Yeah, and especially being able to control how much milk like goes in, that obviously like was one of the most important factors. And I'm like, honestly, when I make them at home, they're probably only like not even, maybe they are like 8 ounces. It's hard to tell because I put it in my like 12-ounce Stanley. But yeah, like they're not that full because I liked it really cold, so a lot of ice and then like very little milk.
I know, that's how I feel too. Like, we always are just putting like a splash in.
Yeah.
But that is terrible.
So that was a little disappointing.
But you had good food.
But really good food. Little Frankie's is our favorite Italian place. It's so freaking good.
Did you guys sit outside or inside?
Outside.
I love the
at one
vibes
of those
there.
little tables. Yeah, the New York restaurants are just so interesting, where they will literally cram as many people as possible into their restaurant, and you're just like, this isn't working. Like, there's no way that you can find this like functional at all. Like, my friend Sarah, she was in our wedding and has lived in New York for like 3 years now, and so she met up with us a few nights, and she would like take us out to these really cool places, but it was like the same thing where I was just like, there's no way this is like a functioning business. Like, we are crammed in this corner over here. But it was really fun.
But New Yorkers are just like used to that vibe because their apartments are small. Like, they're used to being crammed on subways. They're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
This is roomy.
Yeah. You're like, I have so much room right now.
It's also kind of nice. This goes back to something we were saying on like a past episode when it is super crowded because you know it's good.
No,
at least.
exactly. I actually was going to text you, but also I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to come back to that on the podcast and say, like, I can verify there, like, it is a great vibe. Like, Little Frankie's being on, like, the outside, but, like, the line of people, like, being so long, I'm like, okay, like, and I've had it before, but I'm just like, oh, yeah, people want to be here. They had a white truffle pizza.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
That sounds amazing.
It was incredible. I was like so like stuffed and couldn't. We got like 3 entrees and just like all split stuff, and I was like, I can't eat anymore. But this is like the best thing I've ever tasted.
Oh, I love anything with truffle.
Oh,
Truffle
I love
fries.
truffle fries.
How did you have anything good at Gertie? Did you get a coffee there and it wasn't good?
No, because Peter took us to a coffee before that. Like, we got off the subway and stopped at this coffee place that he had been to one time. And that was, like, another one where I was like, this tastes like just like milk. And he tasted it and he was like, yeah, that's bad. And I've had a latte. He said, like, I've had a latte from here before and it didn't taste like that. And I'm like, what is happening?
They saw you and they were like...
And, like, of
No.
course I could have gotten, like, another coffee, but I'm like, another $14 on 2 new coffees? Like, that just
Absolutely
feels ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
so dumb.
Yeah.
But Cole and I weren't that hungry, so we split. I'm trying to remember what kind of sandwich it was at Gertie's, but it was good. And they had a good aioli to go with the french fries. So it was really good.
Gertie is, for those listening, a like breakfast lunch spot in Brooklyn that we all love. We discovered it like the first time we ever went all together. Well, the first time me, Tanner, and Peter went. And it was a few years ago. And that is actually the place where Peter gave us the gender
Of Monter's.
of Monty in the envelope. Which I don't know if I've ever told this story before, that Peter was the one who received our...
He caught Monty at birth.
He was the one who received the email that said her gender. We did a blood test at 9 weeks, so we just wanted to know immediately.
Yeah.
And he wrote it down in an envelope, and it was Tanner's birthday, and we wanted him to give us the envelope. We were just going to open it, and he was just going to video our reaction. And it's so funny because at the time we knew if it was a girl, her name would be Montana. If it was a boy, we didn't have a name. But like we would always talk about Montana, and we would always say Monty. But we want it to be spelled M-O-N-T-I. That's like very specific because M-O-N-T-Y is like Monty Mole, and it's also like kind of like the guy spelling of it.
Monte.
And so we like gave him the envelope to like write everything down on in the morning. And he wrote girl, and then like on the back he wrote like, we can't wait to meet you, Monty, but it was spelled with a Y. And then like
I remember
later
this.
on, like before we went to Gertie to like open the envelope, I was like, you know what that I hate is like the people that I've like told about like the name that we want, like whenever they like spell it with a Y. I was like, it's not spelled with a Y, it's spelled with an I. It's just like so annoying that people would do that. And he's like, yeah, that's annoying. And then he literally took the pen.
He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
He literally took it to the bathroom, opened the envelope up, and changed the Y to an I.
I love that he knew it was that serious. Like, he couldn't let it go. He was just like, no, I have to change it.
Oh, I would have just laughed at it. Because like it obviously didn't matter at that point, but he literally ripped the envelope open and changed it to an I and then gave it to us.
So that didn't tip you off though? That,
No,
it's a girl?
because he kept saying, well, I didn't know it was related at all, but he kept saying like, I'm not gonna let you I'm not even gonna let you be alone at the table with the envelope because you're gonna look. So like, I'm taking it with me to the bathroom. And I was just like, okay, whatever. But he was changing
So
it.
Gertie's, all of that to say Gertie's is special.
Gertie's is special, and there's ducks around.
Ducks.
Anyways,
So
no good coffee.
no good coffee, good food. Cole and I went to see a Broadway musical, which was very fun. I feel like, if people don't know this, Cole was in like musicals and theater like in high school and like growing up. And so it was, and I like just grew up. I was never in musicals, but I just like grew up really liking them. And so when we started dating, we were like, oh, like we both like really enjoy this. And so when we all went a few years ago, we went and saw Moulin Rouge, which was like and it was like with the original cast. And so it was just a very fun and like, I don't know, just incredible experience going to musicals and theater. And this is like, if you don't get it, then you just don't get it. And it's totally fine. I feel like people think like people that are into musicals are weird, but it is just like such a fun, like, I don't know, form of art that like I just like left and literally like, I feel like you're gonna laugh at me, but literally was like crying because I was just like, that was so beautiful. And like that was,
I was in musicals. I don't think it's stupid.
oh, I thought you made fun of people who were in musicals in high
No,
school.
I was in musicals, but I feel like, you know, that since then I went
You went to performing arts school.
went to performing arts school, so then I would get annoyed by the constant musical kid vibes.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I almost majored in musical theater.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So don't worry, I get it.
Okay. But
When they do the casting, or what's it called at the end?
oh, the curtain call.
The curtain call, and they're like, they do the thing where they like act mad, and then they're like,
That's just me.
it's just me. I was playing an
Guys,
evil
guys.
villain, but I'm not really evil.
I loved that period of when you and Tanner would go back and forth and be like, I'm just joking.
You can watch a video. You have no idea what we're doing, but you were crying when you left.
Yeah, and also Cole, like, because I was like trying to process. Like, we went and saw Sweeney Todd, and it was, if you don't know the musical,
The Tale of Sweeney Todd.
from The Office. Yeah. I know, that's what I said to Cole. I was like, all I can think of is Andy.
Truly.
But we went to see Sweeney Todd. It just was revived on Broadway with Josh Groban. And so tickets kind of dropped last minute. Like, they were literally $300 a piece. And then last minute they dropped into like the $120 range. And we were just like, I don't know. Like, and again, people choose to spend their money different ways. But we were like, wow, this is an incredible opportunity to see it with the original cast on Broadway. Like, and just like seeing Josh Groban too. It's just incredible. So we were like, okay, like we'll do it. And so it was so fun, and the story is just very, very dark, but just very interesting. But it was incredible. And there, if you see like shows on Broadway, like the theater starts to empty, and you're literally just poured out into like a New York street where it is so chaotic, so overwhelming, and you're in the middle of trying to process like what you just watched, and you want to talk about it, but you're like fighting for your life.
And everyone else is fighting for their life. And there's probably people outside being like, get your Sweeney Todd merch here.
Yes, literally. And
Do you want a Sweeney Todd popsicle?
take the cup. You want the souvenir cup?
Get it.
And also it was right across the street from where Hamilton is right now, and they had shows at the same time, and they let out at the same time. And so it was like two theaters like exiting, and it was just chaos. And I'm literally have tears in my eyes and tears rolling down my face, and Cole is like, this is the most jarring like experience to just go from this like, I guess, peaceful somewhat experience to then absolute chaos. And so
Yes.
it was just very, very interesting and very jarring, but all of that, like that was probably easily like my highlight. Was so good. And then my friend Sarah lives in New Jersey. So she was like telling us like where to go and stuff. And so she booked the Comedy Cellar for us one night, and you basically pay $14 and then have to just get 2 items and 6 comics. Like, wait,
2
comics.
items of food.
A food or drink.
Oh, nice.
2
Comedians.
Yeah, not comics. 6 comedians come on stage. We got in at 9:30 and did not leave until 12:30.
Was it funny?
It was. There were some people that were really funny, and everyone like got a decent chuckle out of me. But there were some people that you could just like. People are ruthless. Like, I would feel so bad and like maybe go like, ha. And like other people
would
wouldn't
be silent. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I could not.
Absolutely not.
I could not be in that. Not even being the comedian. I couldn't be in the audience if people weren't laughing.
Wait.
Because I would get so uncomfortable.
Oh, it was very uncomfortable. And it was a small room. Like, there was not a ton of us, and we were like right in the middle. And oh, Jenna, like it is, I'm so glad this came up because I wanted to talk about this on the podcast. It is a deep, deep fear of mine. This is now like the second comedy show that I've ever gone to in my life. It is a deep fear of mine to be called on by a comedian. Like,
Wait, they call on people?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do crowd work.
I've never like been to a comedy show before.
Oh my gosh. There was one of Cole's like favorite YouTubers. Like he was in Pittsburgh on tour. And so like we went to like that show and he just like does some crowd work. And I was just like, we were in the balcony and I was like, I'm going to get called on. I know
What
it.
do they like say?
They'll just be like, what are you laughing at? Like, where are you from? What's your name?
Oh, if they just
Ashley, that's such a stupid name. Like they'll do stuff like that depending on what you say.
No.
It's terrifying.
Wait, it would be different if they just like said like, oh, what's your name? Like, where are you from? But like they're like trying to like
they won't be
play
like
a joke
mean,
on you?
but yes, they're trying to get like material out of talking to you. And so I was terrified. There was this one guy who was really funny, but he was like the fifth comedian. And so I'm like, okay, look, is this going to be and he was really funny. So I was like,
You're
okay,
like,
this
I made it through 4.
Yeah. I was like, this is certainly the last one. And again, like I said, like if you're in the front, you will be called on, but we were right in between. And so I was just like, please, please, please don't call on us. And Peter is laughing hysterically at this guy's jokes. And I'm like, I'm so scared. And so literally Peter slumps down at one point because he's just laughing so hard and he covers his mouth and he's chuckling and the guy sees him.
No.
And he just goes like, this guy gets it. Like, and he's like, he's laughing. He thinks it's funny. And then he's like, where are you from? And he was like, Pittsburgh. And he said, Canada's basement. And we were like, okay.
You're like,
And he was like, y'all don't know geography. And we're like, we're
like,
not
I feel like you don't know
Canada's
geography.
basement.
You're like, you mean Michigan?
Literally. But I was just very terrified it was going to turn into him hitting everybody in the group.
I'm so glad that you told me about this. I have no plans of going to a comedy show, but if I did.
If you ever did, far back, dark corner.
Okay, that's perfect. But see, no, I feel like the middle might be best because the back, they might be like, what are you hiding back there about?
Yeah, there was one lady that was in the very back that was howling. Like she, like
That would be my mom.
the MC like came up on stage and like he was like, "Are y'all ready for tonight?" And she was like, "Yeah!" And he was like, "Whoa, like she's ready. What's your name?" And she's like, "Jennifer." We were like, "Oh."
She was the mom of one of the contestants.
Yeah, contestants.
Were the jokes like were most of them inappropriate and like vulgar?
I think probably if the top 3 topics that they talked about were probably either living in New York, something like government or like our country related. And then there was one comedian who was like very vulgar about porn. And like if you looked at our entire row, it was me, Peter, Cole, and Sarah. And I just like all 4 of us were like, like this is
Was he like
awkward.
saying like I love watching
It was a girl. And
Was she saying I love it? Like I watch it all the time.
Yeah, she said her new hobby is commenting on porn videos.
That's kind of funny, I guess.
Honestly, what she like the point that she got to like was funny, but I was just like, I am uncomfortable.
I can't imagine what the comment section would be.
I know. She said that she like, and again, who knows how much it's true and like how much they make up, but she comments and she was like, this video is not what it seems. If you really want something more like this, go to this video. It was like the material that like she was talking about. And I was like, I am uncomfy. And then the MC came up. This is not material for this podcast. The MC came up and this is why you don't sit in the front row, because he looked at like a 25-year-old guy and was just like, what kind of porn do you watch? And I was like, please God, please. Please. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. Please. Like, Cole, we're leaving. And she was the first one. No. I was like, please don't tell me this is going to be like this the whole time. But
oh, God.
It wasn't. But yeah, that 5th guy, he literally would stand on the edge of the stage and just look out and like try to find somebody to talk to. I was like, oh, I'm going to die. But the last guy wasn't from America. And he was like, a part of his like set was he's like, these guys are just so impressive. Like way they can talk to the audience and like make jokes about like where you guys are from and everything. But English isn't my first language, so I can't do that. And I was like, I can breathe easy. incredible.
That's like me when we used to work at the church. I would always be afraid during like our staff meetings that Jason would like make me come on stage and like pray for everyone or something.
That's a very real fear.
I would always kind of do the same thing. Like I would like look around and be like,
I'm just so deep in prayer, my own prayer
just,
right now.
like, worshiping. Like I can't.
I'm in the
but,
moment.
But then you don't want to be too in the moment because he's like, what's going on?
Jenna,
Like,
tell
you want
us
to
what-
share? You
what
want to
the Spirit's
share?
doing.
Yeah.
I'm on the bottom of the spiritual totem pole, so it's I got
You've
people
established yourself.
I got people ahead of me.
You get called up. You're like, you know, you just start doing the bit that the comedian did.
Like,
You're like,
just born.
Jason's like, get down.
Get out of here. Get
down.
off of the stage.
You're fired.
I'm done talking about New York. I've gone on for too long. And this took a way further turn.
No, that was funny. Okay.
You have fun things to say.
Okay, yes. So, in case you guys haven't noticed, this episode is just going to kind of be a little catch-up session. And
You're like, these bitches love catching up. Like, don't
they
you guys see
love
each other
the
all the
debrief.
time?
They love the debrief. Okay, well, full disclosure, we tried recording.
Oh, yeah.
We tried recording this episode last week. And pretty much everything on Earth was not working in our favor. The big thing was that this is part of my life update, is that Monty got her first tooth.
It's poked through and everything.
She got her first tooth during when we were trying to record the podcast. So
honestly, we should, part of me is like, we could release the audio. It wouldn't be consecutive at all, but I'm just like,
The
I
audio
want
was literally
Cole to like cut together a reel of like, okay, so we're going to get Buddy Barks. And you're like, oh, okay. Okay, wait,
I'll
Monty is
pause
still
it.
screaming, so we have to go get her.
yeah, so literally like she is a very consistent sleeping girl.
Sleepy girl.
I put her in her crib and she is usually asleep within like 3 minutes
Yeah.
and she never cries.
Also, another dynamic to this is that usually we have backup. Like, we're not the first line of defense.
Yes, our husbands are shooting a wedding and so,
together without the camera. So it was only going to be audio anyways.
yes. And so I went to put Monty down for the nap, not realizing how close her tooth was to popping through. And she was just like fussing around a little at first. And then like and I was like, oh, she'll settle herself to sleep. So we started the episode. And then like as like time went on and on, she started like picking up crying. And I was like, okay. So I went upstairs to see like what was going on. And then it started picking up more and more. She started like actually screaming, screaming. And I was just like, what is going on? Could not tell what was happening because she's never had a tooth before. So I didn't know like what was going on at all. I just thought like she's just like starting to get overtired. Like, I don't know. So then I brought her down for a little bit and like she was watching a show while we were trying to record the podcast. Then she got more tired. So then I took her back up. Then she screamed again. And I was just like, now she's definitely overtired. And it was just like so chaotic.
We got 30 minutes in, and I think when you
choppy.
when you came back down and you were like, she's not settling, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I love that Jen and I have a relationship like where I was like, I'm not upset with you at all, but I genuinely don't want to record this now.
Yes, like
I'm over this.
It was absolute chaos, and I didn't want to either because I was just like, I cannot focus because my child is freaking out. So, and also Ashley had to go shoot a wedding at a certain point, so we were on a time crunch.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I ended up then just going upstairs. She didn't want to be held. She didn't want anything. So I just like sat in there. She was in her crib. She was freaking out. And like I was just like rubbing her, patting her back. Eventually, she finally went to sleep. Then the moment she woke up, the tooth was in.
That's crazy.
And I could not even see it the day before. Like,
yeah, I remember we basically spent the whole weekend at their house, just how it worked out with Cole needing to be with Tanner, me needing to be in Latrobe. And so it like just worked out. But yeah, like the day before you were like, oh, like, I don't know, maybe it's getting close. And then like I texted you while I was already at the wedding and I was like, how's she doing? Were you able to settle her? And you were like, tooth's here. Like that clearly was the issue.
It literally came through like in that 2-hour window, which is what everyone says is like the worst time is like right whenever it's coming through.
And she seemed so normal in the morning too.
I know. It's crazy. But so anyways, that is one thing is that her tooth came through. And then her second tooth, like, now that I experienced that, I have, like, better gauge. And the second tooth, the one beside it, it's, like, the bottom one. The one beside it now, I can see is probably going to come through, like, tonight or something.
That's so crazy. I feel like I don't know. I don't know babies that well, but I feel like 9 months is, like, early.
Oh, no, it's very late.
Is it really?
Most babies, it's, like, between 4 and 6 months, I would say. Wow. Not most. I mean, like, everyone's different, but hers are definitely late.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, wish me luck tonight. I'm definitely gonna like get ahead of it and try to give her some medicine before bed, which, by the way, I should share for all of my scrunchy moms.
I love that term.
I have now declared myself a scrunchy mom. If you are looking for something that is like truly a pain reliever, but doesn't have all of like the extra chemicals, additives, like
colors,
it's
any like, of why that. Do you have to put Red 40 in a little pill of ibuprofen?
Yes. There is a company called Genexa, Genexa. They make medicine for adults as well, but they make,
I use their ibuprofen.
Yes.
Because it's my period cramp saver.
Oh, yes. They make an infant pain reliever that is, again, like, it literally is just pain reliever and, like, organic blueberry juice or something like that.
That's awesome.
And there's like nothing else in it. It's just like you give them a little like in their mouth of it, and it seems to work.
That's good.
Although the last time that when the tooth was coming through, I didn't know, so I couldn't give it to her. But I'm definitely gonna give her some tonight. So wish me luck.
And get ahead of it. Yeah, that's nice.
So that is one of my updates. My other update is that she has been sleeping through the night.
Our queen.
I'm looking at what you wrote. Good. So that is very exciting for me, the sleeping through the night. It did take us 9 months, but we got there.
We got there.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Okay, here's another thing that I wanted to share about. I saw this on someone's vlog, and I started doing it. Do you like cottage cheese?
I know which vlog you're talking about. I genuinely actually don't know if I've ever had it.
Okay, I've never had it before
in a
until
good circumstance, like not being at like this is a perfect example, in a little cup at a continental breakfast.
Oh, I was gonna say like some type of like outdoor family picnic or something.
Yeah, like
yes. I recently tried it for the first time, and I do really like it with like fruit or even like.
What is it? It's obviously dairy.
Literally tiny cheese curds.
Oh, I feel like I would like that.
It's kind of like, I don't know if it's like mozzarella, but it's like tiny mozzarella balls, just a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, I can get behind that.
Yes. So I saw this on someone's vlog, mixing it in with your scrambled eggs.
It has to add like more protein, right? I know it like makes it better, but like, yeah.
It adds a lot of protein, and they're really fluffy, and they taste like there's cheese in them. Because there is.
Ooh.
Literally.
Okay, what's like the ratio?
I will put,
or do you just kind of like eyeball it?
For myself, like I'll usually crack 2 eggs, and then I'll get like a fork and put like a heaping scoop.
Okay.
And then mix it all up and then cook it like a normal egg.
I have to try that.
It's delish. So that is
I need to get back into my egg era. I got so many from the farm right now, and I need to eat them.
Eggs are definitely like you go through phases of them.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get the ick of them.
Yeah. I saw on a girl, like, I think we talked about this early days of the podcast, was like just breakfast phases. Like sometimes I'll be all about yogurt and granola and fruit. And that's what I have for breakfast every day. Sometimes be like, okay, I have to wake up and make my egg burrito. Like
sometimes I need to, be a bagel.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to
sourdough
be a grab
toast,
and go.
though, it's coming back.
Oh, I love toast. Toast is so underrated. Like, just have a slice of toast with butter.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
I know. I need to revive my starter. I'm ready.
Did you guys have, as a child, like, for breakfast, would your parents make you butter toast with cinnamon sugar on it?
I don't want to throw my parents under the bus. I was responsible for making every single breakfast. Like, not, like, during the week. Like,
not for your whole family, just for you.
Yeah. Just like everyone was responsible for themselves.
That's fine.
So it was usually cereal or a Pop-Tart, or toast with butter. But no, I never did this. I actually hadn't heard of that until I moved here.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like super common here, but like, yeah, Just buttered toast with cinnamon and sugar on it.
Which it is so, actually, our office has been, like, talking about this recently. I'm like, it is the craziest thing to me that I would be on my way to a softball game, probably to play, like, 2 or 3 games, and I would be like, yes, s'mores Pop-Tart is what I will be putting in my stomach this morning. Like, why did my parents let me do that?
It absolutely shocks me how like little and unhealthy stuff that we would eat in high school, and we were the most active and brain active and social and everything that we probably will be our whole lives.
Peak of our existence, yeah.
Literally. And it's, a s'mores Pop-Tart.
Ugh, it literally makes me sick thinking about it. I'd like throw it in the toaster, it would melt and be like all chocolate s'mores and like, yeah.
Oof, I would smack that right now.
I would absolutely smack that.
Okay, do you want to share one of like your little...
One of my little things? I know, Jenna wrote down some life updates for her, and then I was like, wait, I have to write some down. So I literally jotted these down like 5 minutes before she got here. I tried the ginger lime poppy, which it's actually sitting right here. Sponsored. Here she is. Sponsor us. And I just picked it up at Whole Foods yesterday. I was like, because they were out of Doc Pop, and I was very sad. So review is good. I would add it to my certified poppy. That's what Jenna was laughing about earlier.
What she wrote down is ginger lime poppy good. Like as if you wouldn't have like remembered that you were going to say it was good. You're like, oh, was it good or bad?
I can't remember. It was a little more sweet than I would have wanted, but I'd add it to my certified poppy list. Summer I Turned Pretty. You should catch up. It's so...
I have never even watched any of it.
No? I swore last year you told me that you watched like a few episodes.
I think I maybe watched one.
Because you were in your TV era getting ready for Monty.
Yeah. But I mean, I know everything about it from just like everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
But I will be honest, I did not understand
my stories.
Like you were saying like... Is Bigger Than the Whole Sky in it by Taylor Swift?
Jenna, this show has the most insane soundtrack I have ever seen.
More than Euphoria?
Yes, like more mainstream.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't know if it's because like Amazon is tied to Amazon Music and like because Amazon, like I could be saying this and everyone could probably be like, yeah, that is it. Or like, no, it's this. And so I don't know how they have so many mainstream, but like they always have like a Billie Eilish song, a Taylor Swift song, like Bon Iver song, like
wow, that makes me more enticed.
You should watch it. There's a lot of Taylor Swift in there, but yeah, it's during a devastating scene, and it's like goodbye, 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 and I was like bawling my eyes out, absolutely. Okay,
wait. Should we just say right now that you're gonna say spoilers?
Oh well.
Are you going to?
No, I was just going to put it out there. If anybody wants to talk about it, our friend Heather, who I've talked about before, I posted on my if you don't follow me on Instagram, I posted on my Instagram story and I actually also posted a TikTok with the same slides, but I posted my like reactions to each song in like the final episode, and some were me crying, some were me disgusted. It was just really funny. And Heather slid up on it and said, I watched the first 2 seasons. They're books too. Did you know that?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So there's 3 books. And so they're like, okay, we're getting 1 more season. And Heather said, I haven't read the 2 books, but I've watched the first 2 books, but I've watched the first 2 seasons. So I went out and bought the 3rd book yesterday and finished it because I needed to know. And I was like, wait, did like you feel like you had all of the information without reading the first 2 books? And she's like, yes. And I was like, I'm going to Barnes and Noble.
Oh, so the 3rd season isn't out yet. Mm-mm. And now you are going to go read it and figure out
which
what's
I've seen some spoilers
happen.
on TikTok. And so I just need peace. I need to know peace.
Did you really you loved the show?
I really liked it. And I mean, honestly, it's just escapism.
Yeah, just like...
It's just fun. I will acknowledge that it's a show meant for 16-year-olds.
No, clearly not. Everyone loves it.
That's true.
Just because the characters are supposed to be 16 or however does not mean that it's only for them.
It's just, like, the whole concept is these 4 friends. So there's a set of brothers, and then it's 2 families, a set of brothers, and then a brother and a sister. And their moms were best friends in college. The one mom, married up, and, they have a ton of money. They have this beach house. It's in Cousins Beach. I don't know where that is. Maine, Cape Cod area.
Conrad
two
and
brothers,
Jeremiah's
Conrad and
parents?
Jeremiah's family own the beach house, and then Belly, Isabella, and her brother, oh my gosh, Stephen. Their family goes and spends the entire summer there, literally since like they were born, and so they like every summer like we come back to the beach house. So then the summer she turned pretty is when like the boys start to notice, like take an interest in her, and she's had a crush on one for her entire life, and then
Now this other one's
showing
there.
interest, and so it's a whole
Are
thing.
you Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah?
Team Conrad.
Okay.
I literally have met I've met one person that's Team Jeremiah, and if she listens to this podcast, she knows who she is, because I was like, how can
I've
you?
heard like everyone thinks he's like so annoying.
Yeah,
That's
they're just
fun.
meant to be.
So you will let us know when you finish the book.
I'll let you know. Yeah, I don't know how long the book is, but I'm also ready to get back into reading as well. I feel like I went through
It's
a
like
little
a fall winter vibe.
Yeah, I'm ready to slowly ease into fall. I am a summer girly. I love the heat, but I am ready to give it up and slowly ease into fall.
I love fall. I just like I hate that it's impending winter then.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I love the vibes of fall, of course. Like I would love if we lived in a place where it was summer and then fall and then summer and then fall.
Yeah, it just went back
Maybe
and forth.
like in an ideal world, like from December, actually just the month of December, it would snow. Mm-hmm. And then
That's
it would
always
be
the
done.
worst is January and February, because
And
it's like
freaking March.
slush.
March
Trying to
is
extend my
my
neck more.
worst because I'm like,
Okay, I'm over it.
I want warm.
Yeah, and it feels ridiculous having like celebrating Easter in April when literally you're still in your winter coat sometimes. I'm like, this is
I'm like,
insanity.
I want to be wearing a sundress.
Yeah.
And I want to be taking a cute Easter photo.
But no.
No.
Anyways, so if you listen to or watch The Summer I Turned Pretty, feel free to DM me your thoughts or text me your thoughts, and
Yes.
I'm ready to talk about it.
Yes. Okay, here's another thing I wanted to share is that I have been waiting 2 years through my pregnancy and my breastfeeding journey to finally get Botox again.
Yay.
And it has been injected into me.
It's living in there now.
And
That's truly the scrunchy life.
yes. If you can see, not much movement going on in the forehead.
Not much wrinkles happening there.
It's been 6 days since I got it, so I feel like maybe like 1 or 2 more days it'll be like at its peak, like it's really set in. Mm-hmm. But I'm loving it.
Yay. If you care to answer, you also don't have to. When did you start getting Botox?
I've only gotten it once before, and it was like maybe like 2.5, 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's so funny because the reason I got it was because like I just kept seeing get it preventatively, like, you know, you don't have to have wrinkles to get it. Like it just is like good to like do it in advance. And I got it, and then weirdly, like after that, I just randomly started getting so many compliments of people just being, you just look really pretty. And
You're like, please.
and I also just was like feeling like good about myself, but I didn't think it was because of Botox. And then when it wore off, I was like,
I'm ugly
wait,
again.
I really liked how that looked, I think.
Yeah. How
And
long does it like last for before it will wear off?
I feel like mine lasted like probably around like 9 months.
Wow, that's great.
And like it just like I feel like it gets like a bad rap that like it definitely used to be like you could really tell when someone had like anything like that, but it just like literally makes it so that the muscles in your forehead can't really move.
Yeah.
It's like when I raise my eyebrows, I can't really like raise them that much because it's just like it's a
Do you
muscle
feel like
relaxer.
yourself going through the motion but then when you look in the mirror, like you don't see it move, or is it like you actually like are fighting against it? If that makes sense.
You're fighting against it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all. I just
So
got
hot
Botox.
Jenny loading.
Yes. I'm trying to, what? Oh, the one other thing I wanted to say before I tell my funny story is that we didn't have the podcast last year during this time, so I didn't get to share about how I love football.
Yes.
So
what do you have to say?
So to everyone who said in the last podcast that we were guys girls, apparently I am because I love football. I'm Just joking.
I love the culture of it too, which I feel like that's part of it.
No, that's all of it.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm hoping that this year I'll get more into, like, the actual game of it and, like, really, like, actually, like, following the teams and, like, knowing about, like, the stats and the players and stuff. Last year, the reason that I got super into it was just because I was really pregnant and I just felt like the vibe of, like, watching a football game and just, like, having some snacks and just, like, cozying up in the fall weather just, like, made me feel so comforted. And I just, like, loved it. For some reason, like, every single night, I was just like, is there football on tonight? Like, I really want to watch it. I just, like, love, like, the background noise of just, like, a game. And then, so last year I chose my teams that I, like, care about, which is Miami and Seattle.
Did you just pick them randomly?
Well, I picked Miami because I have a Miami Dolphins sweatshirt and I really like the colors. Okay.
So there's one.
Which I get why people choose teams, like they like them because they grew up there or like there's a player on the team that they like or whatever. Mm-hmm. I chose it because I like the logo.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. The Seahawks I also chose because I like their colors. And
they're a pretty good team. I'm like, I like grew up watching football, and I feel like when I say sometimes like, oh, is that quarterback still there? Cole's like, that quarterback hasn't been there for like 10 years. And I'm just like, so I have like a very outdated like memory sometimes of football, and the Seahawks could have won the Super Bowl 5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, they're still a pretty good team, but they could have had the worst record last year.
I honestly don't even remember how they did last year or how either of them did last year. All I know is that like, I just would be like, oh, they're on tonight.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I hope that this year I will get more into like following certain teams and stuff. And my friend Nika, like she also like very similar to me was just like, I just been really loving the vibe of football last year. And I was like,
it's a great vibe.
Yeah. So we would just always like talk about how much we love football. I'm pretty sure she likes whatever team is Tennessee.
Titans.
Yes. And so we always like talk about football and stuff, but we also have been watching Bachelorette together, and tonight's the finale.
Oh, so that's actually so funny because I remember you saying you had to leave here by a certain time, and I was like trying to say that to Cole. I was like, yeah, I think Tanner has like soccer or something, and he was like, didn't you say he had it in the morning? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so that we can FaceTime
to watch the
finale together.
Do you have I know absolutely nothing. Do you have like a person that you're rooting for?
Okay, so there's two left, Dotun and Joey.
Okay.
I'm in love with Joey. Like, okay. I would choose him 100%, but I think Dotun is better for her. They both seem really great.
That's so noble of you to recognize.
Thank you. You're thinking about her.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, do you have tell us some more updates?
Okay, let's see. Oh, I know. I said Gingerline Poppy good. Cole and I are planning our anniversary trip to Maine. Again, we recorded an episode, but like you're never going to hear it. And so I don't know. I think I started talking about it in that one. So I don't know if I've said that yet, but we loved Maine so much. And like when we were thinking about what to do for our anniversary, I just like was looking at flights, and there was a really cheap flight from Pittsburgh to Maine on a new airline, Breeze, nonstop. $150.
I need to look up this airline.
Yeah. It's honestly like a new Spirit, I think, but Lou flew it. They now fly nonstop from Pittsburgh to Orange County, which is huge for us.
You're joking.
And Lou got there for like dirt cheap, like at the beginning of summer. And I was like, what was it like? And she was like, I mean, you get what you pay for, but it was great.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we're going to go back to Maine. And last year when we were on our honeymoon, I've said this before, we went to Greece, and so it was very tropical vibes. It was incredible. But towards the end, we found ourselves missing like Pennsylvania fall. And so we were like, well, this time we'll just like run towards fall. And so we'll be gone like for our anniversary at the beginning of the month, and I am so excited and just looking for like the most immaculate like fall vibes. And so that's an update. And then also we hit, what are you laughing at?
I literally it's not worth explaining, but someone like DM'd me something on Instagram that like they definitely didn't mean to.
Oh no. Like,
was-
but like not bad?
Not bad at all. Just like
Okay.
in response to a story that I posted like about like a podcast that is just like about having kids, they responded, "It will start to smell bad."
Is it someone that you know?
I don't know. Tanner's logged into my Instagram too, and he sent me the screenshot of it. So I have no idea if I know them or not, but
He
just sent the screenshot and said, "What?"
if you have kids, it's gonna start to smell bad. That is like sliding up on someone's story instead of sending it to a friend. It's one of like my deepest fears. I sent you something yesterday, and I was like, hope that went to her.
That's why if you need to say something about it, that's maybe not the best thing. You have to send it.
Like screenshot it.
No, like
send it.
If I like saw someone post something and then I wanted to say to you like, why would they say that? You should send it and then go into your DMs and
That's
then
fair.
say, why would you say that?
Why
Or
would you
like
say that?
whatever.
Yeah. I was gonna share what I sent to you, but I don't know. Like I just
About
Yeah.
the baby?
yeah.
Yeah, just say it.
Okay, the idea, there's this, and you'll never know. There are these people that we follow on Instagram. And
They're like kind of influencer people.
Yeah. And they just crack us up because both of them are guilty of this. Well, they'll post something like, oh, just like had this like difficult moment, but then my daughter, let me read you what this one said. Because
they both have like a lot of kids and like they both are always just saying like that their kids are saying these things, and it's like their kids this is like a 2.5 3-year-old that's like
a 3-year-old that apparently said this. She said like she went through like a difficult like moment and like a stressful moment, and she said her daughter held my face, like cupped her hand under my chin at the airport and said, "Deep breath, mother. Let's just call Auntie." And I was like, no.
deep breath, mother, unless like that's how she talks to her.
Deep breath, mother.
But she's always like saying that her kids are saying to her like,
The
Mom, when it's a difficult moment, listen to me. I'm here for you. I will make you breakfast. I will give you your coffee and you can lay down. And then she'll be like, and then I laid down and he went over and he got me a snack and he brought it to me in bed and he said, now you can watch your show and I will
watch after my siblings.
Yes. And we're like, what?
Yeah, like, so, yeah, the other one has, like, a 6-year-old that she's always, like, and he's just the most amazing thing. Like, he said all of these things, and Jenna and I will just die. If they are actually saying it, incredible.
Teach us how to have
Teach us
children
how to
like
have
this.
children that do this, but we both are just, like, deep breath, mother.
Deep breath, mother.
So, anyways, that's all I have.
Okay. I wanted to tell my random story.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This story I started to tell the last time that we tried to record the podcast whenever it was absolute chaos, and it obviously didn't work. So anyways, this is just a random story that I thought would be funny to share, and there's no other way to work it into an episode than for me to just say, here's the funny story.
Yeah.
So, okay. About 3.5, 4 years ago, I went through a period of time where I kept getting scammed by different scenarios, okay? But this one, and let me just say that they were all decently believable.
And also, might I say to that, I am on scam TikTok occasionally, and
Really?
they're good now.
Oh, they're amazing.
Terrifyingly good.
Yeah.
And so that's like, this was 4 years ago, but they've gotten even crazier now.
Yeah. So, okay, this specific scam. So here's the chain of events that happened. As we've mentioned before, at one point we did not live in the best neighborhood. So I once left my wallet in my car and left my car unlocked. Yeah, I know I'm an idiot, but whatever.
They're like, you said you didn't live in the best neighborhood. Why'd you do that?
Okay, it was actually a situation where I went out to my car to get my makeup bag, went inside and did my makeup, and then when I came back out, my wallet was gone. It was like a very like, I just need to grab my makeup real quick.
Yeah.
And it was gone. Anyways. So my wallet got stolen, and unfortunately, my Social Security card was in there.
Oh, that's terrifying. I don't know if it has, I have more peace of mind knowing that I don't know where mine is.
Yeah. You're like, it's with the scammers.
It's with the scammers.
So yeah, my social security card was in there, and I was just like, this sucks. Like, I had to literally go get a whole new everything except my license, because at that point my license was in Tanner's like wallet. But I had to get like a new debit card, everything like that, and it was just very annoying. So I don't think these two are related, but it just so happened that like 2-3 weeks later, I get a call on my phone. And I usually don't answer calls from numbers I don't know. For some reason, I was just like in that mood where I was just like, hello. And I just
hello,
listened to it. And the guy was like, hi, ma'am. Like, oh no, it was like a recording. And they were like, hi, Jenna Solich. There's a warrant out for your arrest. Press 1 to continue to talk to whoever it was. I don't even remember, because I was just like, what? What? And of course, sometimes like people have warrants out for their arrest for like an unpaid parking ticket or something. And I was just like, what if I did something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I like answered the call, and there's this guy, and he was like, hey, so yeah, there is a warrant out for your arrest. He's like, your like social security card, like social security number is associated with like a bunch of like crimes. And I was like, okay. And he was like, do you like want to like hear like what's going on? I was like, yeah.
Would you like to hear the crimes you're guilty of?
So he was like saying like all of this stuff. So basically the summary of it is that there's 26 rental cars that were taken out in my name, like with my like information. And it was in New Mexico and Arizona, and they were all found abandoned in different places with many pounds of cocaine in them.
Oh my gosh.
And he was giving me like every single rental car. Like, he was like, this rental car was taken out in like Phoenix, Arizona, and was found like in this like parking lot, and it had 18 pounds of cocaine. Like, was like confirm, was this one you?
You're like,
and,
I wasn't Phoenix, but I was Albuquerque.
I'm like, okay, so that must have been my other guy.
Somebody else.
But no, and like he was like, you need to confirm each one was not you before I like send this information like over to the FBI, basically.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I'm like bawling my eyes out, because I'm so convinced that this is true.
Oh yeah, just all of the stars aligned on it, especially of your social security card being stolen. You're like, yeah, no.
I'm like, this is definitely happening. And so it like seemed so legit. Like, he just kept saying like, okay, and this one wasn't you? And I'm like, no. And like, then at the end, he was like, okay, like, I need you to confirm, because he really had me emotionally at the end. Like, I just like I was like crying, and I was just like, none of this was me. Like, I don't know how this happened. And he just kept saying, it's okay. Like, he was really nice. He's like, it's okay, ma'am. Like, we're going to get this figured out. Like, don't worry. And I was like,
what scum of the earth.
I know. And so then he was like, okay, we just need you to confirm like your social security number and stuff. And of course, at that point, I'm like, okay, it's this. And he's like, okay. And he was like asking me like some other stuff about like my bank too. I can't remember specifically, but then he was like, okay, like, we're going to schedule you to have like an FBI agent come out to your house tomorrow to like interview you about like all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, of course, literally thinking like, I'll call off work, like I need like clear my name of this, like. And he was just saying like, you'll probably have to like do a court hearing and like clear your name, like saying all of this like really intense like buzzwords. And I was just like, okay.
Meanwhile, what, you're 22 at the time?
Yes. And I'm just like freaking out. And so anyways, he's like, okay, I'll transfer you to the FBI agent. And he hangs up. And I'm like, oh my God, I got disconnected. Like, I have to like get with this FBI agent so I can clear my name, like all this stuff. And I try calling back, and it just keeps saying like, this number doesn't exist. And I'm just like, what? So then at that point, Tanner starts like Googling stuff, and he didn't hear all of it. He just like kind of heard the end of it. And he's like, Jenna, I don't think this is real. And I'm like, how? Like, they literally like, my number was stolen and they have the drugs. And he's like, I just don't know if it's real, Jenna. So I end up calling the police.
Fair.
And because I was like, who else am I going to call? I didn't call like 911. I called like my local department. And I'm like, hey, no, this is like so random. But like, do you know, can you like see if there's a warrant out for my arrest? And he's like, okay. It was like some like young guy. He's like, I'm like, someone called me and said that I did these crimes. And he was like,
Okay,
He's
honey.
like, okay, what's your name? I told him. He's like, no, there's nothing. And I was like, okay, well, this person called me and they said that I did all this stuff. Like, how do I?
And I gave him my banking information and my social security card.
He's like,
oh, honey.
oh, honey. And he's like, you're just going to have to call your bank about that. So anyways, I ended up having to like basically delete all of our banking. Like we had to like
transfer all of our funds.
we literally had to like get a new bank account.
Oh, because they had like checking and routing number?
Well, they had our social security numbers and they were like asking us about like what bank we had, stuff like that. So I don't know if that was like a security. I don't know. But we had to
Did
get
anything ever come of it? Like
Never.
Okay, that's good. I mean, that's a good thing,
that
though.
day we transferred. Like we literally drove to the bank and like transferred everything that day. So like if they were even going to do anything. But even the next day I was like, what if the agent shows up?
What if someone shows up? Yeah.
I know, literally.
The one scam I saw on TikTok yesterday was like this. I don't even. Oh, yeah. They were like fraudulent charges. Basically, the woman knew it was BS the entire time. Like the minute that like they're like, all right, we'll call you back tomorrow to like send you a new card or whatever. And she called or went into her bank and was like, I got a call that these fraudulent also like like when it came up on her phone, it said like Chase Bank, and then she looked up what the actual number was, and it was Chase Bank, and she was like, oh, like, okay. But she still went into the bank office and was like, I got a call saying like there were these fraudulent charges on my account. Is that true? And they're like, no. And she was like, okay. And so like when they called back the next day, she let them go through their entire spiel, and like I got to the very end of like when they really like were gonna get her like get access to something, and they were like, okay, like text that number back. And she just was like, are you satisfied with your life? Do you wake up every morning happy knowing that you are going to scam people out of their money? You are the scum of the earth, Robert. And, like, went off on him. And then she was like, he eventually got disconnected, but she literally was like, are your parents proud? And I was like, I love you.
Wait, now I'm actually scared because recently
Oh no, Jenna. Oh no.
No, I mean recently we got like a fraudulent charge thing. And like it like the bank called and said like you had a fraudulent charge, and they like had to send us a new card. You think it's fine though?
But like you received a new card?
It's on its way.
Well, the part of this scam was like, we're going to send you a code and respond to the code. Do you know if that happened?
It was Tanner. I have no idea.
We'll tell him to look it up. This fraud, or like,
I'm terrified.
I don't know if they're doing it to different banks, but at least this one was like,
we don't have
at
Chase.
And I have it. But
Dang.
I feel like I never, knock on wood, I never get targeted, which is
We always
very
get
nice.
targeted.
Yeah. Did you want to tell your other one, or was that good enough for you?
That's good enough.
All right. Well, we found ourselves here at the end of another episode.
Another week has passed.
Another week has passed. You know, this is a real recent delivering of an episode. We're recording this on Monday evening.
You know what we need to say?
Yes.
Oh,
I was like, hello? What is that? Are we going to say our date?
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
We have decided that we are going to be pursuing having our Let's Debrief meetup picnic.
It's happening. You voted. We posted polls. You said you would come. Literally not one person said no, not even as a joke.
And I know that.
And then you all voted on a date and time. So, drum roll, please. I don't even remember what it was.
It is September 10th. It's a Sunday afternoon. We're going to do like around 1 p.m.
Do we know where yet?
You said Shenley,
I've said
right?
Shenley, but I'm like, yeah, are we good with that?
Do you want to do it in like near the cathedral or like across from Phipps?
Maybe, I don't know. Well, I'll go scout it.
Well, I feel like we need to say it now.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go? I like Phipps.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay. So September 10th at 1 p.m. across from Phipps in Shenley Park in Pittsburgh.
A mood board and style guide to follow, so you don't have to text your friends and be like, what are you wearing? Like, we'll tell you what we're wearing, and you can go off of that.
Yeah, we want it to feel like just like a fun like girls picnic that's like kind of like styled. Like we're all going to be a certain vibe.
And let us make this so clear. If you have friends that don't listen to the podcast, every single person is welcome.
Boys are welcome.
Boys are welcome. We're just going to hang out.
Kids are welcome.
Oh, times 1,000 kids are welcome. I'm very excited for that. But yeah, I feel like we both have you met India before this week? Okay. But I had a chance to meet and like hang out with one of our listeners, India, shout out. And it was just so fun. Like, we literally only sat and talked for an hour, but I was just like, if the meetup is going to be like this times like 10, I'm going to be so happy. But I say that because India lives a little further away. But so now hopefully you have a little bit of time to plan, but come out to Pittsburgh for the day and hang out with us. And this will be proof that we're not mean and standoffish.
Truly. But yeah, also like if you don't have anyone to come with and like you are just going to come by yourself, please just come by yourself. We would still love to have you.
Yeah.
Like, I hope, I mean, obviously we will not have time to stand and talk to everyone for 30 minutes, but like, hopefully like you will meet other people there who are good vibes, and hopefully we can all make some new friends.
Yeah.
Bring your husbands. Do you think dogs are fine too?
Yeah, I don't see
As
why
long
not.
as they don't try to eat things.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make it like a little potluck too.
Yeah, like just like with like some light apps, I think we'll probably both make something small and
Yeah.
don't come starving.
Don't come starving. And if you follow us on Instagram, there will definitely be more rules or like guidelines to
Updates.
follow. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe everyone brings a little special drink, a little app, or
Even just like a drink for yourself.
Yeah.
I just don't want
Everyone
us,
to show up thinking that they're getting a feast.
yes, and like us to be like hauling a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
out. I will be bringing Monty June.
Monty June will be there. Oh, we need to get her a little Let's Debrief crew
Okay,
neck.
I was actually thinking about it because do you know Zara has like a kids like embroidery shop?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I was
so
like, their kids' collection's adorable.
they have like crew necks and t-shirts you can get embroidered for kids, but I tried making one that said let's debrief and it was too long. Like they don't allow that many characters on the shirt.
LD, latter days.
LDS member.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad that that information is going out now so people have time to prepare, but just be on the lookout for updates.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun. And then hopefully this will just kick off like maybe quarterly meetups and we can all just be friends.
I can't wait. It'll be so fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope that you enjoyed catching up with us. Yeah. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah. Anything else?
Nope, that's all.
All right. We love you guys and we will see you next week.
Bye.